This is Curtis coming at you from Ace Per Head Studios once again, covering the 2021 NFL season. Going to dig into this very shocking and surprising loss that the Bills had against the Jaguars. It's very easy, I think, as the media is telling you right now, to get off the train, to start calling out all kind of problems, being highly concerned. Now, some concern is definitely warranted. But I'm going to use an old SNL skit. I'm old enough to remember when SNL was really funny and then the slow descent. But at one of the last funnier times, there was a Christopher Walken sketch where he played the rock and roll producer Bruce Dickinson. And he said, "I got a fever. And the only prescription for it is more cowbell. More cowbell." It was always more cowbell. No matter what the problem was, you had to add more cowbell. And I think that's the way the media and the media driving fans can be at times. Right now we're hearing Allen sucks, the O-line sucks, they didn't give enough effort, McDermott sucks, they're way overrated, and there's no way they're going to make the Super Bowl. I would like to go past the cowbell and try to dial it in. I'm a Fins fan. I really have no particular love for the Bills. I've started to cover them recently, and over the summer, and then through Allen, I got into meeting Bills fans and really interacting with them, and I really like Bills fans. I really do. Never thought I'd say that, but they've been phenomenal. And so I want to kind of defend them and the Bills organization at this time. But I'm not going to do it based on how I feel. I put a lot of time in putting analytics, film study at the end, and statistics to show clearly the problem with the Bills is so simple, but yet it is slightly concerning, but highly fixable. So what I said when I started covering the Bills, I got into Allen, really enjoyed the player for years. From the draft, I liked his demeanor. It was a calm intelligence and a sort of a strong personality hidden behind a humble personality. It was an interesting character, and I liked him. I rooted for him, except when he played the Fins. But then when I dug into his stats, I really started to like the player. And then when I covered the first Bills coverage, which was his first preseason showing, I had a series of concerns. One of them was that they were going to try to turn him into a Superman and overuse him the way Dable was just throwing, and I didn't like what I saw. I felt the overzealous of passing was going to be a major problem. I said, I've been a Dan Marino fan, and it don't work. Not even with the greatest passer of all time. O-line depth was another problem I had concern with, and the lack of a rushing attack. These were the things that I really was concerned with going into the season. And just about all of them, aside from the O-line depth, was shown in the Bills' first game versus the Steelers. And I was concerned, but as I went to the tape, I said, this is really fixable. This is all scheme, play calling, concept. This is just really poor rollout of the offense. It's not indicative of the team, but it is indicative of Brian Dable. To my great pleasure as a football fan, not so much as a Dolphin fan, you came back the next week, utterly changed the playbook, the look, the design, beat my team 35-0, and really showed me what a quality staff and team was, because it took humility to dump this pass-happy, fun ball look and then turn to a rushing attack, a patient rushing. There's a difference. Some teams are great rushers and they have success early, and it's no wonder. Other teams, they have to run even when it's not successful. And as the course of the game progresses, it fills the rest of the offense with fuel, and then the rushing attack kind of breaks open at some point. And that's the way this Bills team was. So I was very impressed. And you guys went on a long streak based on this model. You had one loss, and we're going to dig into each individual game to really, I'm going to dial it into the highest level to show you how easily this can be fixed. So you went against the Jags. Going into the game, they were 17th against the run, 31st against the pass. So I kind of, like on the surface, see Dable's concept of, hey, these guys can't stop the pass. Let's just do heavy pass attack. But in football, it's the most nuanced game. It's had me addicted to it because of the nuance. I love chess. I love strategy. I love depth. I love to think. So this game has had me physically when I played and mentally when I have it because of the depth. And when you have an offense and you attack a team, you have to consider what's their weaknesses, what's their strengths, but also what's your weaknesses and your strengths. I don't think Dable did it. Now, they had 1.3 sacks per game, but on this day, they had 4. They created 17 hurries and 23 pressures for Allen to operate under. This is not feasible. This is not a framework for success for an offense and a quarterback. But so you right away would say, oh, it's the offensive line. But again, it's not just pass run. It's not good or bad. It's why. It's always got to be why. Okay? Sometimes those whys lead you to this is a terrible team or terrible, but that's not the case here. All right, so after I think it was a Chiefs game, I said another concern I had was that Sean McDermott wasn't going to keep this disciplined team going, that they were going to start becoming undisciplined as the pressure mounted. And this was a very bad expression of that. 12 penalties to 8, against the Jags. And all of this pressure by the Jags defense, the penalties led to a horrific 72 yards on the ground and 229 through the air. But again, it's not good or bad. It's why. So, Bills' O-line composition isn't the most highly talented. Deion Dawkins is like the highest rated by PFF. Not that I put PFF as the greatest things in sliced bread, but it's a good framework. I believe they really do good work there. They watch a lot of tape. Deion Dawkins is around like 30th. But you've had injuries. Spencer went out. What's his name? Spencer went out. Spencer Brown went out. And then you had to move Williams over from right guard. He was playing there as a backup role, I think. And Feliciano was an edge. It's been a lot of movement on the offensive line. But essentially, you had to bring Ford in, who struggles against the pass, big guy, he's depth at this point. And then you had to move Williams to right tackle. And both these guys struggle against the pass. Why run a heavy pass attack when you have two giant guys who are pretty good against the run? Pretty good at run blocking, I should say. And this is, again, going to be expressed in what I'm talking about very clearly. So, it's very easy to say the offensive line sucks. The backs had a league low 0.2 yards per carry before contact. Offensive line sucks. Again, I cannot drill it enough into you. Why? And when I go into this, you're going to be like, I cannot believe this. So I didn't really watch the game. I was so fixated on my Dolphins. I hadn't seen a win since the flood, since Noah had been around. And my team had a chance to win. So I was utterly fixated on my game. Yeah, it's only 2 wins or whatever. But I'm a fan at heart. And on game day, I lose the objectivity. So I'm looking at the scoreboard. It's 3-3-6. I'm like, I'm just waiting for you guys to blow it open and win the game, And when you lost, I was like, what? This is crazy. What happened? So I looked at the base stats. I was like, man, something ain't right here. Something ain't right. So when I went to the footage, I wrote down a couple of questions I immediately had. That's something I like to do, is pose questions before I enter film if I've never seen a game before, when I just look at the base stats. And one of them, I'll give them all right now. How many back-to-back runs were there? How many under center runs were there? How many Allen convoy runs? That means Allen not as a naked rusher, but he was set up with blocks, so he's the extra man. That's a really potent weapon you guys have shown over the last couple of weeks. And then how many first down runs were there, and how many behind the sticks plays were there. Now here's the number. There was only one back-to-back rushing where you ran on 2 downs consecutively. So, what? After what I've seen the last couple of weeks, that was crazy. How many under center runs were there? 2, with a third being on 1st and 15. And that's not really gonna do what a run's supposed to do, which is give the defense something extra to think about and really wear them down, because this was in the third quarter anyway. How many Allen convoy runs were there? 0. It was all scrambles and naked runs, designed runs, which I just didn't make any sense. How many first down runs were there? You had 28 first downs-ish. I counted them, so I might have missed here or there, but it's around 28. You had 3 shotgun draws, 3 under center runs. One of them was the 1st and 15 late in the game, which 1 RPO run and 1 Allen design run that was a naked run. This is absurd. Behind the sticks. Now remember, it was 17 hurries and 23 pressures. Out of 29 times, well, basically you were behind the sticks 29 times, okay? And the way I counted behind the sticks was first down and more. So if you had a penalty on the first down, second down and 8+, and third down and 7+. So out of all your plays, 29 of them were behind the sticks. You were constantly chasing, constantly passing, and constantly harried, and at no point until late in the third quarter did you even consider running. This is absurd by Dable. This is a terrible game. He came out and said, yeah, you got to lay the blame on me. Yes. Good news, he's shown between the Steelers game and this game, he can call great games. To me, the Steelers game and this game were bookend games, terrible play calls. Now, I'm going to put a graphic up here and go through the weeks. And I'm going to show you, as you guys rush, as I had posed early in the preseason, is how this offense goes. And it's not always just about the success, but that's for another day. All right, so week 1, 2016 loss. Allen passed 51 times, completed 30. You rushed 16 times with the backs, and a lot of those were draws. We'll get into that. And 9 times with Allen. You had 3 sacks and 67% passing on your offensive plays, 20% rushing by running backs, and 13% by Allen. So Allen composed 80% of the plays, which is way too much. And you lost. And it was terrible. Bounce back against my Finns, week 2, 35-0 win. Allen threw 33 times with 17 completions, 23 rushes by the backs, and you saw a mix of under center, from shotgun all over. 5 rushes by Allen, which led to 1 sack. Out of all your pass plays, you passed 54% of the time. Running backs composed of 36% of the plays and 10% Allen. So he went from 80% to 64%, and you dominated. Week 3 against Washington, 43-21 win. Allen passed 43 times with 32 completions. There were 25 runs by the back, 4 by Allen, 0 sacks. 59% of the plays were passes, 34% to the backs, and 7% of Allen. Again, it was a 66% where Allen was involved. Dramatic drop. Week 4, Texans, 40-0 win, 30 passes by Allen, 20 completions, 29 rushes by the back, 6 by Allen, 1 sack. 46% of the plays were passes, 44% by the running backs, and 10% by Allen. We went into the 56 range where Allen was involved. Week 5 against the Chiefs, huge win. It was a 38-20 win. Allen passed 26 times with 15 completions, 17 run by backs, 11 by Allen. But remember, when you go back and see the designs of those runs, I was so impressed. Dable really dialed in for that game. And Allen's runs were magnificent, the design. 0 sacks, 48% were passes, 31% to running backs, 21% by Allen. So that is 69% where Allen was involved. Conversely, Mahomes threw 54 times with 33 completions. Only 13 plays went to backs and 8 runs to Mahomes, which were all scrambles. And you can see the dichotomy there, the flip. The running game still plays a huge factor in the NFL. Week 6 against the Titans, 31-34 loss. Allen threw 47 times with 35 completions, only 14 rushes by the backs, 9 by Allen, 3 sacks. 67% of the plays were passes, only 19% to the backs, 14% to Allen, and that's 81% again where Allen's involved. And you lost. Close game, you should have won it, but I thought it was a lot closer than it needed to be. Now, conversely, Tannehill threw 29 times with 18 passes completed, 20 rushes to the backs, and 2 runs by Tannehill. But again, you see that formula. Week 8 against the Dolphins. A win, 26-11. Allen threw 42 times, 29 pass completions, only 15 rushes to the backs again, 8 to Allen, 0 sacks, 64% passing attempts on your offensive plays, a lowish 22% to the running backs and 12% to Allen, back in the 76% where Allen is involved combined. And it was a close game when it didn't really need to be. And this all started moving Dable, it seems like, slowly away from that winning formula of running, back into the pass happy, because week 9 was week 1 on steroids. It's hard to believe. Okay, you lost 6-9. Allen threw 48 passes, 31 completions, only 9 rushes to the backs. And when I go over what these rushes were, they were a joke. Terrible design, terrible application. 5 to Allen, and even that was terrible. 4 sacks, 77% of your plays were passes, only 14% to the backs, and Allen had 9% of the rushes. So that's 80%, 6% where Allen's carrying the plays. And it led to a loss. Conversely, Lawrence threw 26 times with 15 completions, 23 rushes by backs, and 3 by Lawrence. It's very clear, as this rushing attack goes, so do the Bills. And it's not about high production. It's just about starting early, being patient, letting a very big offensive line not sit and pass protect all day with a defense with their ears pinned back behind the sticks, where they can get and bully usually smaller lines. And over time, this grinds up the defense, where Allen will make his big plays and he'll make his big runs and keep it going, and it wears the team down. As Dable goes into his more cowbell thing, the Bills decline. Now, Moss was injured, but that was a little bit later. And, my one concern about the design is Moss is the only big back you have. Everybody else is like the 190 range. But the commitment, the patience to the run game is really what brought you success. So let's take a look at the film. I'm going to break down the rushing attack, and you're going to see how terrible it was. Good news is Dable has shown that he can to a very high level. The question is, will he? So let's take a look at the tape and see what we see. All right, the Bills' first run was an RPO inside. And the problem with this is, on these kind of plays, look, number 41 is already guarding for the RPO. He's planted and he's watching. He's not moving. So this eliminates Allen from going on the move. But then they double blitz the interior, and there's no way that left guard can handle 2 players. And Dawkins can't get there in time. So this is an overload blitz. And then he just comes in, 41 comes in to clean up. So when you're really in that RPO look or shotgun draw look, it really limits the diversity, angles, and it's kind of like a tell, because you can run blitz, and if it's a pass or if it's a run, you can kind of get a double effect on both those plays, where if you're under center, a lot of things are different. You really are not certain. You can't operate the same way. And this is why I don't value the draws out of shotgun as much as runs from behind center. But then here's the next one, the run at, now this is under center, but it's a zone stretch to the short side, which it doesn't make any sense because you got Ford in there who's not very athletic. And you got a right tackle moved inside out. He was moved inside because he's really not that athletic. I believe his name is Williams. So you're asking them to get on a move. Instead of an inside zone run between, the A gap or the B gap, you're having this a stretch run outside against a pretty athletic front. The Jaguars tackles and ends are pretty athletic and small. This doesn't really maximize the size advantage that you have on your offensive linemen over the Jags. So it's not really effective decision or choice of plays out of the under center. I really didn't like it. Then again, we go to the inside draw. This is like an RPO action. You get a little action out of you, a little nice, 3-4 yard play. But then you go right back to a straight draw. But watch, they got the outside blitz coming, and this would work if he drops back and passes or the draw because the angle. And so you're really getting a 2-for-1 when you blitz like this against the draw or the pass. And now look at this one. I've seen Dable create some very exotic and pretty brilliant Allen runs. But this drop back and naked charge up the middle is just, it's like they're not really trying. I remember against KC, they had pulled the whole left side, or they had sweep left with Allen with the running back sealing and break it to the second level. There was some very, very interesting and very effective runs with Allen having plenty of blockers in front of him. But this was just this is not effective at all. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't seem that he's really trying in any way, shape, or form. And this is all your runs. Inside draw again, but this is 3rd and 20. So whatever yards you're getting here, it's like, okay, they're just playing shell. Just a wasted run. So this was a first down run, of course, out of the draw. Still, you get a nice little run out of you, 3rd and 4. You get about 4 yards out of this. Then you come back. This is the first and only 2 back-to-back runs in the game. So you come out from under center. So that's good. It's a diverse look. You give the running back the football, but watch this blocking scheme, how bizarre it is. You're outsizing everybody in front of you. Why on earth are you releasing to the second level and forcing all this complicated blocks inside? And it turns into an utter mess. And if you had just simple straight zone blocks and drove and let the running back find his way, I mean, amazingly, I believe that's Singletary. Basically 6 guys in the box and 1 possible rusher on the edge. But you're running to the right, and if the running back's got a clear path to the line of scrimmage, bottom edge rusher is not going to get there in time. You have size advantage. Ford's 329. I believe Williams' name, the right tackle, he's like in the 330 range. And you got a tight end on top of that. Simple, straight down blocking on a 2nd and 5 makes things so much more simple. But they decide to have the tight end come inside and get a movement block going. They release the D tackle because Ford pulls down the line of scrimmage, and then you release the center to get to the second level. And there's no way, first off, the tight end's going to make this block. It's not happening. It's ridiculous. You can't ask a tight end to block a D end. The running back amazingly is able to make it to the next level, but this was just not a good blocking scheme fit for your personnel on the offensive line, the situation, or the personnel you're facing. Another under center run here. And you can see here, this I thought this run was going to go. But first off, you're into the third quarter, okay? And the big bodies of these Bills players haven't been leaning on this defensive front for the first half. So they're pretty fresh. And, Dawkins doesn't really have a good block here. But it is one amazing tackle by number 45. Or else this was going to go. Look at it. There was free space wide open. And the problem is if you had started running like this in the first quarter, in the second quarter, by the third quarter, these big offensive linemen leaning on the small front would have worn them down, just as it has for the last 6 or 7 games. So they go back in. This is another run on first down, 1st and 15. This is just, hey, we don't want to be predictable. And trying to get out of the egg, trying to get better field position. Maybe something happens. So it's not really an effective run either. It's not like a run that's designed to build this offensive momentum and take eyes away from Allen. So then you go back to the RPO, and they've been planning for this. So you can see they have a guy waiting on the edge, eyeing both, and you get in the inside rush, a lot of movement on the offensive line, not straight blocking. They're quicker, so they're beating them to the punch and getting penetration. And this is just a brutal. I mean, do you want your multi-million-dollar quarterback start a team taking hits like this, sprawled out with his legs and guys piling on? It's very irresponsible. So the designs were terrible. The concept, application, the rollout, the entire game plan was atrocious. It was one of the worst game plans I'd ever seen. You still could have won it if you had come into the second half. Now, I don't know how many running backs were on the roster, the game day roster. Maybe it was only 2. But again, that goes back to lack of planning. They could have easily adjusted in the second half and won this game. Yes, Allen threw those 2 big picks. You can't dismiss that. But this kid's shown that his kryptonite, one of them, is his desire to play Superman. And if you feed that by giving this guy 80% of the plays, this is not good coaching. You're not helping him to overcome his weaknesses. You're feeding into it. And the kid was beaten up all day. At a certain point, you get hit so many times, you start making bad decisions. This goes back to Dable and maybe McDermott, depending on how much he's involved in this game planning. The wrap-up is the fix is very easy. Just run the football. Play like you did weeks 2 through 6, with a little bit of 7 and 8. I mean, I know you were bye week summer, but you know what I mean. You got to commit to the run. Running helps a decent offensive line, but a big one, and allows them to play more to their strengths. It takes away from the Superman nature of Allen and helps him relax. And it creates scenarios along the way for a big run to happen and for the defense to keep their eyes off Allen. It's just such an easy fix. I don't know why Dable, I could see week 1, but to go to what we saw in week 9 after seeing week 1 and seeing all the success in between, very confusing, a little concerning, but easily fixable. Bills fans, I'm a Dolphin fan, but I really like you. You guys have been through a lot. The media, they love to really lift you up and smash you down. I see it. I do it to the Dolphins too, so we've been there. We know. Hang in there. McDermott has got to get a hold of this, and I think he will. Very easy fix. I think you guys will rebound. It's just such a simple fix. It really is. It's just concerning. But anyway, keep your head up. Don't lower your head. Don't listen to most of the media. They don't know what they're talking about. Sorry. It's the truth. This is Curtis saying thank you for staying at the end. Please like, comment, subscribe. Comments mean the most. Subscriptions and likes help us with the Google Overlords, keeps us in business. I really enjoy talking football. Sort of keeps me going. I appreciate that. I want to give a shout out to Ace Pareto sponsor, best sponsors in the world, best online sportsbook in the world. I want to let you know with the world-class software, you can get on the action with friends, family, and coworkers as a local bookie. They keep me in business. They're fantastic. You guys have been fantastic. And I'm going to be rooting for you this week because I really am getting nervous about New England catching up to you, man. They're starting to gain strength. So good luck this week. Catch you next time, and be well.